The Cerralvo Channel off the coast of Baja California Sur is a massive, high-energy marine corridor. It is isolated, pristine, and entirely unforgiving. For decades, coastlines like this have faced a predictable threat: unregulated extractive tourism. This hypergrowth creates a shadow economy that rapidly displaces local fishing cultures and drains shared municipal resources. By 2026, the local communities of Ensenada de Muertos and Bahía de la Ventana rejected that trajectory. They transitioned the region from a laissez-faire frontier into a zone of active enforcement, prioritizing 100-year stewardship over seasonal profits. This split-screen schematic maps the consequences of both approaches. On the left, predatory models rely on unlimited vessel access and heavy aquifer depletion. On the right, the newly implemented Agua Amarga model relies on highly constrained, strictly regulated pathways. By capping total vessel density and mandating total water autonomy for any new development, the community places an absolute ceiling on physical growth. Preserving this ecosystem requires treating the bay not as an open playground, but as a highly engineered gauntlet. Access to the water must be earned through rigorous compliance. The authority to block predatory capital does not originate in a distant federal office. It comes directly from the local ejido, the communal landholders. Under Article 27 of the Mexican Constitution, these local assemblies possess absolute jurisdictional power over their territory. Their internal regulations carry the full weight of federal agrarian law. They exercise this power through the social license to operate. This is a mandatory, locally enforced prerequisite required before any commercial entity can conduct business in the region. This map visualizes that legal authority as an impermeable boundary securing the coastline. If a developer or tour operator cannot provide empirical proof that their business offers a symbiotic benefit to the local fishing community for the next century, they are legally barred from crossing that perimeter. Environmental protection here is a legally binding mandate. For a marine tour to operate legally within this framework, the compliance gauntlet begins on the sand at the Ensenada de Muertos launch hub. The foundation of the authorized fleet is the traditional panga. Before passengers even board, the operation must clear a strict labor audit. The law requires a 90-10 Mexican national labor ratio. This immediately eliminates the unpermitted foreign shadow labor that often undercuts local wages in other tourist towns. Next, the crew must hold specialized maritime credentials. Every captain is required to carry a libreta de mar. The libreta de mar is a federal maritime document authorizing professional seafaring and tourist operations. Standard commercial fishing licenses are invalid for these excursions. The vessel itself must hold a Turismo Nautico registration, a specific commercial designation prioritizing passenger safety over fishing utility. These bureaucratic hurdles act as a physical filter. They ensure the informal, exploitative economy never reaches the water. Once the vessel leaves the launch hub, it enters the Cerralvo Channel. Locals call this the Blue Desert, an isolated environment where wind and currents shift rapidly, and mistakes carry high consequences. To navigate it, captains follow the Desierto Azul protocol. Every vessel files a float plan on shore, registering every soul crossing the channel before departure. Authorized vessels maintain a real-time telemetry tether with a shore node. If a vessel misses its check-in by exactly 60 minutes, the node triggers a Tier 1 community search protocol, deploying local pangas to the last known coordinates. Passengers are also subject to updated NAM 017 STPS 2024 standards. This is the Mexican federal safety standard, mandating certified protective gear, like high-grade impact vests and helmets for extreme sports. These protocols ensure that a tourist's negligence does not drain the time, fuel, and resources of local volunteer responders. In the mid-channel, the vessel crosses into a highly contested biological zone. Here, human access is governed by the ORCA standard. Semarnat, Mexico's federal environmental ministry, enforces extreme scarcity in this region. For the entire 2025 to 2026 season, they issued exactly 50 wildlife observation permits. A strict density limit is placed on the water. A maximum of 16 boats are allowed in the observation polygon to prevent overcrowding. When encountering marine life, the captain must execute an immediate engine-neutral protocol. Active pursuit is strictly banned. The moment an apex predator breaches a 50-meter radius, the engine must idle. From there, the 15-minute curiosity rule takes effect. Legitimate interaction only occurs if the wildlife dictates the terms and chooses to stay near the stationary boat. Human-driven harassment is engineered out of the process. These rigid operational rules exist to protect a specific biological resource: acoustic integrity. Silence in the Cerralvo Channel is a measurable physical requirement for the survival of the 20 to 22 resident eastern tropical Pacific orcas. Apex predators rely on undisturbed water to leverage their speed and stealth, relying entirely on an acoustically clear channel to coordinate their strikes. Along the shores of Punta Arenas, the pod executes the Mobula Slam. This is a hunting strategy where orcas herd thousands of rays against the shoreline and stun them with massive fluke slaps. The channel also hosts instances of interspecific altruism, a biological behavior where one species actively expends energy to protect another. Humpback whales use their massive pectoral fins to disrupt orca hunts and shield prey. Human operators must yield to this trophic balance. Acoustic smog generated by unregulated, speeding vessels physically blinds these animals. The community prosecutes this noise pollution as a direct form of habitat destruction. Does this immense operational friction actually yield biological results? We can find empirical proof by looking directly at the apex predators. The Agua Amarga pod has experienced a verified 15% population increase. This technical overlay measures the profile of a 2026 calf. The photogrammetry confirms the complete absence of peanut head, a severe postcranial depression indicating malnutrition in cetaceans. These calves are healthy because the 16 boat cap and the engine neutral protocols preserve the silence they require to hunt efficiently. Biological health in a modern, contested ecosystem is the direct engineered output of rigid regulatory compliance. Beyond the water, the macro-coastal ecosystem contains one final layer of structural defense against runaway capital. The community calls it the cemetery of the sea. Embedded deep within the coastal geography are the sacred burial sites of the ancient Paracu. The Paracu were an indigenous lineage of elite deep-water divers who navigated these trenches centuries ago. Because of this deep history, the dunes remain protected. The ejido utilizes an archaeological kill switch. The discovery of the Paracu's red ochre remains acts as a literal, irrevocable legal mechanism to permanently halt any ground disturbance or hyperdevelopment on the shoreline. The Agua Amarga model proves that a 100-year stewardship blueprint built on restricted, slow growth secures both economic prosperity and biological autonomy. Ecosystem preservation is never achieved through good intentions. It is secured only through absolute community sovereignty and the unyielding architecture of the law.